Hello, my beautiful love bugs. Welcome back to my channel. For those of you who don't know me, hi, my name is Nancy. I'm an entomologist, which means I study bugs, and I live in Ecuador, where normally I'm doing tourism. I have my own, I have my own tourism business where I focus on entomology, ecology, conservation, and local culture, but obviously that isn't happening super much in the pandemic, so welcome to my YouTube channel. I'm trying to do daily December, so you better have that bell notification dinged when you subscribe, so that way if I'm uploading a little bit inconsistently, that way you know exactly when I upload and you can watch it, and it's like good for everybody. I'm trying to get to 5,000 subscribers, so feel free to share this or, subscribe if you haven't yet. I know a lot of you aren't subscribed. Because I do tourism and I focus on personalized tours, a question I get all the time is, when should I come visit Ecuador? Like, when's the best time? And of course, that answer is a little bit complicated, so we're going to talk a little bit about that today. And it really depends on what you're looking for. So let's talk a little bit about Ecuador's generalized weather pattern. This is going to be super simplified, right? I realize it's way more complicated. We're just going to, for today's video, maybe we'll have a whole video on Ecuador's climate, okay? But for today, let's just make it super simple. Down the Andes, it's pretty generally wet in like typical winter months of like December and dry during typical summer months of like July and August. As you get down the slopes, like the northwest section of Ecuador pretty much follows that same thing. It's hot and dry-ish in July and August and very wet-ish in December through March-ish. As you get down, like as you go to the coast and you go further south and you go to the Amazon, it's like the Amazon as a whole, December is the dry season and August and July is like the wet season. So basically, I tell people, tell me what you're looking for and when you can come and we will make it work.
Make it work. Go, go, go. Do it. Go so. Work, work, work. Make it work.
Because I don't want you to just be in a place where it's going to like downpour the entire time, because that's not a lot of fun. When should you come? It really depends on what you want to see. If you're looking for bugs, for me, on the western side of Ecuador, I focus most on the western side of Ecuador because that's where I lived for 2 years. I lived 2 years in the cloud forest on the western side. And because of the Andes, the western side has more species that are kind of similar to Costa Rica, and on the eastern side, more species that are similar to Peru, and I'm just not as familiar with the eastern side. But if you want to go to the eastern side, I have plenty of guiding friends, and we'll hook you up. All right, we got you, got your back. I'm just here for fun bug facts in the back. I usually let all the local guides, talk about their amazing ecosystems. So if you are coming and you just want to see like a diversity of insects, I'm going to kind of focus on insects first. If you just want to see a diversity of insects, I highly recommend the end of the rainy season to the transition of the dry season. This will be like end of March, April, May. This is when you have the most diversity of things because you have this seasonal shift between the rainy season and the dry season. You're probably going to see some mantises, you're probably going to see some big moths, you're probably going to see some big beetles, like the butterflies are starting to come out. That's a really good time on the western side and the western cloud forest to see a lot of different, especially insects. If that's not a possibility for you, then I highly recommend thinking about what you want to see. So if you are interested in like big moths and big beetles, the rainy season, they love the rainy season. If you're interested in like katydids, butterflies, and mantises, I highly recommend the dry season, which is like July and August on the western side. And that's where you're gonna see like the most diversity of butterflies. And Ecuador has about just over 3,000 species of butterflies, and there's 20,000 species worldwide, so we have 3,000 of them, which is pretty incredible. So those are some of my recommendations on insects. My favorite season on the western side is April, because that's when these really beautiful Zamara cicadas come out, and they're like turquoise on the coast. They're like this greenish color up here in the cloud forest, and they're just so, 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 so beautiful. If you want super easy pictures of hummingbirds, here at El Septimo, it's really easy to see them. They come to the feeders, but they're mainly here in the end of the rainy season. So like February, March. They're just crowding the feeders because all the flowers have been knocked off the trees. And so they don't have like regular flowers to just eat, sip nectar from like the hummingbirds do. So I highly recommend that you come if you're looking for quick bird shots, like quick hummingbirds, just want to like nail all those hummingbirds off your list. That kind of end of rainy season, February, March-ish time to come. If you're interested in whales, they come in at the end of July and are here through like the first week of September, and you can see them on many points along the coast. Puerto Lopez is the most popular, although you can see them in Mompiche, which is where I do a lot of my whale watching, and also all the way up into Tonsupa and Atacames in the northwest section. The humpbacked whales are coming in for their breeding season, so you definitely have a really good shot of seeing amazing whales pretty close to you, and you know, for the right price, about like $20 to $30 per person, depending on what company you go through. If you're interested in surfing, December is a pretty good time. So like December through March is generally where we get the big swells coming in for doing surfing. And there's a couple good surfing points along the coast of Ecuador, starting all the way up in Esmeraldas, which is in the north. So like Mompiche has a kilometer-long wave and also the longest lefty wave. And Montanita, which is all the way in the south, is super, super popular for surfing as well. If you want to go to the Galapagos, I don't do tours to the Galapagos. You have to have special licenses and special permissions to do anything out there, but I do have friends who work in the Galapagos, so I can help you get your perfect trip there. I very highly recommend that you avoid December. December is literally when everyone and their mother is going to the Galapagos, and it's just really crowded and everything is really expensive. I've gone to the Galapagos in both the end of April and in June, and both of those times are really good. They were relatively cheap. You could get on the yachts for a lot cheaper than you would otherwise, like especially in the high season, and the weather was pretty good. It wasn't too hot, but it was still sunny. It wasn't downpouring the entire time, and the islands weren't just like teeming with people, so that was a really good time to go. I really do not recommend going in December because like literally everyone is there in December and it's just like too expensive and there's too many people and like not worth it. If you're going to the Amazon, I highly recommend staying away from the extremes, the extreme rainy season and the extreme dry season. So remember, in the Amazon, it's flipped. So dry season is December and rainy season is like July, August. It'll just be downpouring all the time. Like, I think a lot of people are surprised, but when it's downpouring, like, things aren't out. Birds don't like getting wet. Insects don't like getting wet. Monkeys don't really like getting wet either. And you don't like getting wet, I'm assuming. So if you're going to the Amazon, I would stay away from like the deluge season. And also if you're going to the northern Amazon in December, that's when the lake bed of the floating lake completely dries up. It's normally like a lake, right? But in the dry season, it dries completely up, which means that your journey to get from the starting point in the river to the lodge is going to take you a lot longer. Normally it takes about 3 hours, but in that extreme dry season, it can take up to 8 hours. And it's just like you have to get out of the boat and you have to drag the boat over the mud and you like get back in the boat for where it's like this deep so you can like, you know, kind of keep going, and it just takes a crap ton of time. So at least in the northern Amazon in Cuiabano, I think that dry season is really interesting to see, but if you do go, just prepared, you know, your boat ride may take you 8 hours. If you're interested in being here during any kind of cultural events, then there's a few that you might want to keep in mind. The first is the summer solstice, which is Inti Raymi, which is a big indigenous festival in Otavalo. There's also Corpus Christi, which is a big indigenous festival in Cujuy for the same holiday. November 2nd is the Day of the Dead. It's not anything as extreme as Mexico, but you can still find a couple interesting things here. Like we have Guagua de Pan, which is like baby bread. I should do a whole video on this one, but it's like bread that's decorated as like a doll. And also the colada morada, which is like the purple drink, which is a mulled like juice concoction. It's actually really good. I'm not explaining it very well, but it's like blueberry and blackberry and strawberries and like orange juice and cloves and like mixed together and cooked for a couple hours with local spices that you can find out in the forest. And with the blueberries, because the blueberries are in season, and it makes this like purple mold drink. It's really good, and it's served warm. Ugh, it's so good. So right around Easter, we have a lot of celebrations. Leading up in February, we have Carnival, which is my favorite time. I love Carnival. It is not for everyone though, because it is like a huge water fight. Everyone has like foam in a can that they spray each other with, and like kids will throw water balloons at you. If you don't think you're playing, you are playing. So that's a good thing to keep in mind, because if you are a tourist and you're in the city during Carnival, like you will get wet, you will get hit, someone will spray you with water or whatever. And I think it's a little jarring to a lot of tourists who don't understand like what's going on, but it like literally lasts a week. So if you don't want to like get wet or have kids throwing water balloons at you, don't come during Carnival. If you're a child like me and you think it's the most fun thing in the whole world, then definitely come, and make sure that you bring a change of clothes, because again, you're probably gonna get wet. And my favorite is actually our New Year's celebration. Our New Year's celebration is that we make an Año Viejo, which is a physical representation of the old year. You can buy a paper mache version like Iron Man, or you can make your own with like a mask and some old clothes, and you fill it with fireworks and you light it on fire for the new year. Burn it away. But you'll find all these like burning effigies all over the place, and the sale of these paper mache things starts showing up at like the end of December, like mid to end of December. So that's what's going on if you're coming here for that. So if you're interested in that kind of like cultural thing, then that's a good time to come as well. So love bugs, that is my quick when should I come to Ecuador explanation. It was super fast, super quick. So if you want me to kind of go into more in depth on any of these different aspects, feel free to leave it in the thought box below, so that way I know that you're interested in it and I make a video that you want to see and not something that I'm like Alright, love bugs, I have left in the description a link, so that way if you are interested in coming to Ecuador, then you can contact me directly and we can work on something that works for you. I know there's everything that is happening right now, so if you do not feel safe traveling, that is totally fine. But just, put it in the back of your mind. Maybe like in 2 years, maybe next year, maybe 5 years from now. Maybe you want to have your honeymoon here. I don't know, but feel free to message me. All right, be sure to have that bell notification ticked and dinged and on, so that way you know when I upload, because it's going to be more often this month than usual. And I will see you all very soon.